Yo, what's going on, snipers, and welcome back to our Detroit Red Wings franchise mode here in NHL 21. So in last episode we had the draft and the re-sign stage, and we end up losing Ville Savonin, who's been with this team for over 10 years, I think. And unfortunately we had to let him go due to the little bit of cap space we have. Like, we only have, how much cap space now? I think it's like $5 million, which is not really a whole lot of to do for free agent signings, but our team still looks pretty solid for the most part. The only problem for me personally is this defensive core is starting to drop off a lot. Like, the only three guys remaining from like the original good teams, I should say, here in Detroit are Biggs, Wall, and Stewart. And yeah, Wall's starting to drop off a little bit because he's 33 now. But Biggs and Stewart should be still here for many years to come. I think for at least for another 5 to 6 years for like guys like Stewart, and longer for Biggs because we did just sign him to a pretty good deal at 3 years. But yeah, so we're gonna have to start relying on like the Bertuzzis and Stapletons, and then who we signed at free agency. But our forward core still looks pretty good, but once again, guys are getting a little bit older. Matthews is now 28, same with Coley Minen. And then guys like DeKaiser are 29. And then if you go to like our right wingers, Dingman's already 27. Bouillon's 31, believe it or not. Like, we're getting to the stage where guys like Bouillon could literally retire soon. So I'm kind of getting scared about that. Because obviously losing guys that you draft or trade for that are EA generated, I feel like you're a little bit connected to them to an extent. So it kind of sucks when that does happen. But hopefully we don't have any retirements to deal with for a few years. But we do have a bright spot in team for next season, and that is Maximus Stevenson, who is this very good goalie prospect of ours. He just had a killer season in Grand Rapids. So I'm very excited to see how he can play as our backup behind Punos for one season. But before we get into our free agent signings, because we do need to pick up a few defensemen, we do have one comment from HawksFan88. He says, I think Quirk is your best option for a defenseman. Hopefully you can get him for less than he wants, though. So we're going to go after Quirk as our one defender that we want to bring in. He wants a little bit more than most defensemen that are around that range, but he's affordable, and we do have a decent amount of cap. I'd say 5 mil is enough to get him. So we're going to go to defenseman, and if I sort this by overall, Quirk is, yeah, he's a 79 overall defenseman. He wants 3.7, which is pretty expensive, but he's only 25. He's a defensive defenseman, so it's not like another OFD to join our defensive core. And he would probably be good alongside of somebody like Biggs for the most part, I would say. So we're going to sign him up, and we're going to give him a 1-year deal just because I don't really know how our cap situation is going to be like in 1 year. So we're going to give him 1 year and see if I can give him $4 million for 1 year. Which might be a little bit much, but still. And apparently he's going to be an RFA after that 1 year of signing if we do get him. So that's a nice thing about that. So we definitely need Quirk in. That takes up most of our cap space, which means our depth defenseman has to be on like a two-way contract. So we need a depth defenseman, and I mean, there's Richie if we want to, but he's an OFD. I don't really like depth offensive defenseman. I like more depth defensive defenseman who would be affordable. We want somebody that's making like we could always bring in somebody like that's a Dean dude, because these two guys want like 850K. Jovanovski. He doesn't look like a terrible depth option. He's a defensive defenseman as well. So I think I'm going to sign him. He wants only 850K. And he wants a two-way deal as well. So it's relatively cheap. And yeah, he will be our depth defenseman, I think, for the season. And I think that's pretty much all we could sign, which really sucks. But hopefully that doesn't do too bad. I could have signed this Medvedov guy, because he's only 24, but I don't know. How good is this guy? He's been pretty good in the AHL level. He's got actually really good passing. Is there a way to remove my bid on Jovanovski? No, there's not. I don't know if I could still sign Medvedov. I might try and sign Medvedov after I get these two guys in, I guess. I don't know. Maybe we'll sign Medvedov for the AHL, or maybe use him as our depth option because he's got good passing stats. So let's advance a few days, see if we get those guys, because especially Quirk is the more important one, because we do need a good defenseman with the amount of money we have. Jovanovski and Cork are going to accept. That's great. Let's go to free agent signings. How much money do we have? 2.125, so we can still sign that other defenseman, which I am going to do if he is still available. Let's go down here. Where are you? It was the top 60. He might have got signed, actually. Maybe. Unless he's... Oh, no, there he is. We're going to sign Medvedov just in case, because if we have multiple, like, 77 overall defensemen that we could potentially use, that'd be good. Let's just sign him up. There we go. And, yeah, I think that's pretty much all the signings we're going to make. Let's start simming to next season. And, yep, we get Medvedov as well, so that's good. Okay, so I'm going to make a quick jump cut to our edited lines for the upcoming season, and then we will simulate a few months and see how this team performs. Hopefully pretty good with this defensive core, because I'm a little bit skeptical about the team. Okay guys, so we do have a little bit of a problem, I would say, and it's some of our chemistry, but our team still looks pretty good. We got DeKaiser, Matthews, Dingman, Bullion, Powell, and Garrison, who's up to an 85, so I'm excited to see how he gets simulated this year. His offensive stats are getting pretty good. And in third line, Timothy Acker is going to actually jump up to the NHL. He has really good shooting attributes and really good offensive stats, so I think it's time to give this guy a shot. He was a former first-round pick of ours, and he's 24 years old now, so a little bit late to make his debut, but should be interesting to see how he simulates. And in fourth line, we have Hobbs with Mestre and Wong. We could always change this up if need be. If like Aker doesn't do that well, I could always move Wong up, move Aker down to the fourth line, something like that. And then defensively, this is where it's a little bit skeptical. So we do still have Wall and Stewart, which is great, and Biggs and Cork, which is good. But Bertuzzi and Stapleton have a -3 pairing boost, and if I even put in like a depth defenseman like Medvedov, it still stays -3. So I don't really like it that much. I actually should call up somebody from the AHL as another depth option, which I think I'm going to call up Sedin as the other depth option. I could use Hills again, who was really good last year in the playoffs, but I think I'm going to give it to Sedin. Actually, Sedin might complain about his ice time. But I do like Sedin because he's a two-way forward, and he's got some really good defensive stats, I would say. So I think I'm going to actually call up Sedin, because we might need a good defensive option for the fourth line, even if he does complain. Whatever. But Hillis could get called up at some point if we needed it. Reichel could get called up. There's also Jovanovski, who we just signed, who could get called up if we have injury troubles, and so on. So our team looks pretty good on that front. And then if we go to the goaltending situation, Bunovs is up to an 88. He's probably going to be walking this season at the end of the season, because Stevenson is up to an 84 at 22 years old and is already listed as a starting goalie, and he's in his rookie season, so he will be our starter by next season, which is pretty awesome. And then there is our depth options. So yeah, let's get started with the season simulation and see how this team performs. I'm pretty excited to see how some of this team does, but I'm kind of nervous about our defensive core just because it has taken a huge hit with the loss of Savonin. Which, speaking of Savonin, we should take a look at where he signed in free agency, just because I always like to try and figure out where my former players signed. I know there was a lot of other former players of ours that end up going back to free agency, but I don't know. I don't think I'm going to check where they are. We will wait until we find out when they retire. But Savonin, where did you sign? He signed with the Colorado Avalanche on a 5-year deal at 6.6. Yeah, that's something I was not going to be able to afford, so good for him to get paid, and by a pretty good team in Colorado. So, should be interesting to see how he plays there. It's really weird to see, though, him in Colorado. Okay, let's get started with the preseason, see how this team performs, see if we could win games. We should be able to, because we got strong goaltending, we got good offense. It's just a defensive core that's a little bit on the weak end, but you don't really need to have a good defensive core to win, at least in the regular season. In the playoffs, you probably do, but let's see, preseason-wise, we're killing it so far, which is good to see, but then we drop 2 games in a row, and we win the last game. So 5-2 in the preseason, not too bad. Leader in points was Bullion with 11 points in 7 games. I feel like Bullion's going to be on the decline a lot, and he might retire by the time he's like 33 or 35, because he's been taking a huge hit in terms of overall the last 2 years. So I think he will be like an 82 by the end of the season. I feel like he could be like a third liner, which is pretty crazy. But hopefully he can still put up a lot of goals for us because he's been our best goal scorer by far in this series. So let's get through this part of the season. Let's go. I think we'll go to January the 1st maybe in this episode. Maybe a little bit closer to the trade deadline. I don't know. Because I'd like to get these last like few years done of this franchise mode as fast as possible to an extent because yeah, we're right near the end. We only got like maybe another 6 or 8 years left of this franchise mode, I think. If I decide to do all 25 years on YouTube, which I think I will, even though it's kind of dragging it out because I've been doing this series since like October, right? So Michael Wong's already been injured with a concussion. That's not great. Let's go replace player. That should give Sedin some time. But we're not off to the greatest of starts. There's a win, though, against Tampa Bay. Okay, now we're winning a couple games, staying around 500-ish. And Timothy Acker's been injured with an MCL sprain. Wow, this guy gets to make his debut, and now he's already been injured with a big injury. Well, that is not good. 6-5-1 and a 9-7 win to end the month. That is not good defensively, but I'll take the offense. De Kaiser's over a goal a game to start the season. 13 goals in 12 games. Jeez. We're just barely in a playoff spot, but that's not a good start with the injury bug, at least. Like, who's out with an injury right now? Yeah, both Acker and Wong, which means if we have another injury, we're going to have to call somebody up. But Sedin is going to get to actually make his NHL debut, which is nice to see. And then, who was the other depth forward that we had? Or did we have another depth forward? I don't even know who the other depth forward is. And Wong is dropping off for some reason. Is it morale? Oh, he's just losing morale because of being injured. It's not good. Oh, Yzerman's the other depth option, I think, right? Yeah, 6 points in 10 games, though, from him. And then defensively, okay, goalies. How's Stevenson been playing so far? Really solid, I would say. And then Punos has been terrifically bad. Jeez. Let's continue to assimilate. Sucks about those injuries though, because I don't like to have I don't like to have to call up players from the AHL. Like if we have another forward injury, we'll have to call up Hillis, and he'll have to go back through waivers if we send him down, which kind of sucks. But let's go to December the 1st. I wonder how Sedin's going to play with us. Hopefully he plays pretty solid. Garrison's been injured now. Oh, are you kidding me? So I might actually have to call up Hillis. We've suffered 3 injuries already, and we're not even like 2 months into the season. That's terrible. It says Wong is pretty much back almost, so I could throw Wong in. So I think I'm going to do that instead of having to call up somebody. Let's just change up the lines a little bit, throw Wong in. Yeah, we'll go something like that for the time being. I don't even know. But it sucks. Garrison going down with an injury. That's one of our better players too. And we lose 1-0 there. Wong is fully back, which is good news. But yeah, our team is really not doing too well. It's got to be our defensive core or these injuries maybe. Let's go back to this. Go back to this. And I think we had this. And then I think Garrison is a right winger. Throw him back in here. And then that's good to go. What was our line set up like? I don't even really remember. Maybe it was like that. Yeah, I think it was something like this. Okay, as I was saying, there's a stupid jet flying over top, so sorry if you hear that in the background. But anyways, yeah, that looks good to me, I think. Yeah, and then we're just waiting on Acker to be back, and he's dropped down to a 77. Maybe that was just a bit of a statistical boost he had. Luke Domingue on waivers. Who are you? 77 depth forward, 23 years old. That's not too bad. This guy's got really good shooting attributes and stuff, but I don't really know where I would slot this guy in, so I'm not going to claim him, but he looks decent. There's back-to-back wins, and now a goalie is on waivers. No, have no need for a 68 low backup. But yeah, this team is a really streaky start, at least. I don't know if it's our defensive core or what. It's probably the injuries too, or a combination of both. Okay, so they just said that Acker is back, which is good, which means we could throw Acker back in, and we could go back to something like What did we have the line set up like? I honestly don't even remember what we had the line set up like. That had... What do we have these lines set up like? Might have been something like that. And yeah, that's good. And there's another win. That's good. Okay, so 11, 10, and 4. So we're kind of picking it up a little bit, but still staying just above 500, which is... it's not the greatest. We are 3 points back of that last playoff spot, probably in our division. Yep. Okay, so not terrible. We do got guys over point per game, which is good to see, like Caden Matthews. So we seem to be a good offensive team right now. It's probably just the defensive core or the goaltending. Like maybe it's just Punovs is playing like trash. Like maybe we should just give it to Stevenson and trade away Punovs in this season. I don't know. Like where are we in the season? December the 1st. Let's go one more month and then we'll take a look at our player stats. And then we could maybe make some decisions for next episode if we're going to make any trades. Which we probably will have to end up doing. Because this team is off to a little bit of a weird start. Maybe we'll just have a good month all of a sudden, though. That's happened before. We're getting some points in this month, so this might be the month. And Caden Matthews has been injured now. That's not good till December 29th, so we'll just go replace player. That's not a good injury to have for our top player. And last few games of the month, Caden Matthews is back. They gave Yzerman top line time. Interesting. Let's go replace with that, and that's good. And we are going to be 19, 14, and 7. It's a weird record, but it's not terrible. We are in a wild card spot with 45 points. Yeah, it's not terrible. We're 3 points back of the top spot in our division, so we're doing something well, I guess. Let's take a look at our player stats so far for the season, as well as the standing stats, just to see what's been going on with our team. And then we could maybe take a look at the trading block and all that sort of stuff. But yeah, I think it's we're not playing good enough defensively. Like we're playing good offensively to an extent, but not good defensively. Like Matthews has got 35 points. Maybe there's a little bit of a lack of scoring goals because a lot of these guys are playing up assists at center. So yeah, Matthews 35 points in 35 games. Coley Mine at 29 points in 40 games. Powell 23. So Powell's production level is dropping off a little bit, which is not good. Mestre 13 points. He's not been that great for that fourth line. And Hobbs 11 points. So we could always swap around the lines a little bit in terms of centers. Left wing wise, DeKaiser's got 34 points, 23 goals in 40 games. Not too bad. Yzerman's got 9 points in 20 games, and that's not great. And then Acker and Wong have been very quiet. Yeah, we need to get our offense going, I think, a little bit for the bottom six, but we also need to play a little bit better defensively. Right wing-wise, Bouillon's got 30 points in 40 games, 21 goals already from him. So he's on pace to have another 40-goal season. Dingman, 28 points is not too bad. Garrison, 18 points in 37 games. Alexandrov, 12. And Sedin, 2 points in 12 games. Yeah, I think we need just to get maybe we just need to play a bit better offensively or something, because I feel like our team is lacking points. Biggs has got 29 points, so Biggs is overtaking Wall as our top defenseman, it looks like. But Wall has been very quiet. He's dropped down to an 85. He's got 13 points in 40 games. He's on pace for only 26 points this year, which would be his worst NHL total since his first season in the NHL. Yeah, Tristan Wall might retire. Might retire soon. And this is probably his last big contract that's going to be ending this offseason, but he's probably going to continue to drop off. Stewart is minus as well, which does not happen ever, hardly. Bertuzzi's also minus. Cork is plus 11, so good on Cork to play good for us. Stapleton's a plus 3. And then goaltending-wise, Stevenson's been pretty solid, I would say. Punos has been decent, too. So they're getting a little bit better. But, yeah, I think it's our offense that might be the problem. Because, like, after this point with Dingman, it drops off considerably. Like, we're not having enough depth scoring for some reason. Like, we could readjust our lines always, but, or we could just keep it the way it is, because we are still almost in the top spot in our divisions, so, I don't know. Like, let's take a look at what our team's been doing so far. So if we look at the entire league standing-wise, right now, we are 14th best in the NHL, which is not great. Goals for per game, we are, yeah, we're not scoring enough. We're the 4th worst offensive team in the league. That is not good. So yeah, we definitely need to start scoring more. Boston, who we played last year in the playoffs, is off to a horrible start, which is kind of surprising. And in goals against per game, we are one of the best defensive teams in the NHL. So yeah, we definitely need to start scoring more goals. So maybe we need to get rid of one of our forwards and bring in a better scoring forward. I don't know. Or we could just get our power play up, because our power play is 16.7% right now, which is one of the worst in the NHL. And then our penalty kill is the best in the NHL. Interesting. So yeah, we're a good defensive team. We're just not a good offensive team. So if I was taking a look at potentially making a trade to help our offense out, we don't have the cap space, which means we'd have to trade somebody that has a decent cap hit, which in that case I would say is probably Coley Minen. Even though he's one of our best point players right now this season, he's making 11.7 for one more season after this. We trade him away, we free up a lot of cap, which means we could probably bring in somebody decent if we could find a way to trade him. But I think he would be probably the best option to trade away, just because that way we could bring in somebody really good. Because like if we look, I don't really want to move out DeKaiser. I don't really want to move out Matthews or Dingman or Bouillon. Powell could be moved out maybe, but he's one of our younger options, so I still like him over Coley Minen. And then I'm not moving Garrison for sure, not moving Hobbs. Don't think I'm moving Alexandrov. We could move out Mestre, because he's not that great. Wong maybe wants to be moved out because he's not happy with the ice time he's getting here. So maybe Wong gets moved out. And then Acker, we could always move him up in the lineup. I don't know. But I would say Coley Minen's probably the obvious option to trade away, because we could always upgrade our defensive core as well if we trade away Coley Minen. Like, we could pick up somebody making $5 million on offense, $5 million on defense, and then this team looks a lot better than what it is right now. Or we could trade away Punos and then play Stevenson as our starter, find a different backup goalie. That would also save us a lot of cap. So we do have some options of players we could trade away if we want to make some drastic changes to this team, or we could keep it the same. Let's take a quick look at what's out there on the trading block in case we want to make any trades for next episode. But yeah, I think we definitely need to get our offense going a little bit. If we just barely make the playoffs, maybe our team will all of a sudden have a really good record in the playoffs, but I still think we need a good offensive player, which is going to be kind of hard to find somebody that's making a not that expensive contract. Like, you're making 6.5 and you're an 82 and you're not putting up, you're putting up decent numbers, I would say. Springus is a, how good is he? He signed for 3 years though, what the heck. But if you guys see anything you want me to trade for, let me know, because I think we will need to make a trade to help out our offense. And like I said, I think Coley Minen could be the obvious option just because he's making a lot of money. We could, if we were to trade him away, we could always pick up a better forward for our team, and we could pick up a better defenseman maybe for a playoff run. But like I said, our team is simulating decently, but I don't know how long that's going to last. Like, we could all of a sudden just fall off the cliff at the end of the season and miss the playoffs. I've had it happen before. A lot of these guys are making way too much money, but there is like guys like Yandel who's only signed for 1 more year. And he's a pretty solid player. Does fit our top 6 forward lines, and he wears number 69, which is kind of funny. Yeah, this guy might be intriguing. Like, if we were to trade away Coley Minen, we could bring this guy in, and he could maybe help us out offensively. He does score a decent amount of goals, it looks like. But, yeah, he's got a really bad power, but he's got really good accuracy, which is really weird for his wrist shot. And then vice versa on his slap shot. That's an intriguing piece, but I don't know if we will pick up somebody like that. I'll just scroll through the rest of this, but if you guys see anything we should trade for, let me know. But we might not have to make any trades. We could just keep the team the way it is. But then we risk maybe missing the playoffs. Like, there's guys like Estrada who could be helpful. But I do think Coley Minen might be a good option to move for sure. because a lot of you guys have actually mentioned about potentially trading Coley Mining because his contract is pretty bad now. Like, he's getting overpaid by a lot, but I didn't expect him to drop off in production by this much. So there's not really anything intriguing on this trading block, but I haven't really looked in depth at this. But maybe there is somebody still. There's some guys in St. Louis. Like, maybe even this Kalinin guy could help us out offensively. He's got really good shooting attributes. He's got 20 goals in 35 games. Like, this guy could maybe help out our bottom six in terms of offense. There's also Goulet. 5 goals in 37 games is not good. Yeah, I honestly don't know what we're going to trade for next episode. But if we are going to trade for somebody, we need to free up cap space, which means move in somebody that's making big money. And yeah, that's pretty much that. Let's take a quick look at the draft class also, because I haven't taken a look at the draft class yet. Just in case. We don't know really anything about these guys because we're losing a lot of scouts, and I keep forgetting to sign scouts. Any potential guys that are intriguing? Not really. Maybe this dude, Jason Stevenson. He looks decent. We'll pin him. What about Skylar DiPietro? Decent puck skills, but eh. Yeah, I think that's pretty much that. So anyways, guys, that's going to do it for this episode of our Detroit Red Wings franchise mode. So in next episode, we might make some drastic changes to this team via trades if you guys think it is necessary. If not, we'll probably end up simulating the rest of the season and seeing if we make it. Like, maybe our record is the way it is just because of the injury trouble we had early on, but who knows. So let me know what you guys think down below, and I'll see you guys next time.